What's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 33 of Feel the Heat. My voice is hoarse and I'm more monotone than usual. So that's what y'all get to enjoy this week. How are you, Michael?
I am doing fine. The Heat are the only negative thing in my life right now from a sports perspective, because in the time span where the Heat got 2 wins, the Dolphins also got 2 wins. So I guess I can't be happy on all fronts now. One wins, the other loses, but
It's just a balance of your
yeah,
life.
right. It's like Thanos said, right? Everything in balance. Just snap the Heat's wins away. You don't get it.
Yeah,
It's
he
fine.
totally said that in blank movie.
I want you to just guess the name of the movie he was in. Guess any word from any title that Thanos has been a part of.
I don't know.
Well,
Who is that?
Thanos? You don't know Thanos?
No.
It's fine. We can just move on. It's not your thing, right?
Who
Like
plays him?
Josh Brolin,
I
but
don't even know who that is. That's so
CGI.
upsetting.
You know who Josh Brolin is? Like, okay, but this is fine, right? Like you can talk about ER and the Kardashians and all that, and I don't know anything about that. And then I can bring up Thanos and you have no idea, right?
No, all the listeners will know though, so it's okay. I'll just be in the dark.
I I would be curious. I feel like more of our listeners would know who Thanos is before being
100%.
able to name each of their
Yeah,
Kardashians.
yeah, yeah, for
Because I
sure.
think being able to name each of the Kardashians is kind of a curse on people.
Are we really doing this?
I I guess I am.
Yeah, I don't really fuck with this narrative, so you
Look,
should probably keep it moving.
the Heat went 2-3 in a week where you predicted they would go 3-2, and I predicted they would go 4-1. So
Mhm.
times are rough here in Heat Town.
Little bit. I mean, it helps a little that we won the last two, at least to me. I feel better coming off because to me now we're on like a trajectory of an upswing, right? So it's like that was rough with the Lakers and the Clippers, but like now we're okay.
I wouldn't even say we're okay. The Thunder was a game that we should have won. So, I mean, I'm not really going to give them a lot of props for a game that we expected them to win.
Yeah, but I feel like we should have won all of them. I know that's not realistic, and I know that we weren't
No,
actually going to, but I feel
I
like
agree
we
with that.
could have won all of them.
Right. Because the Lakers game, yes, we were without Jimmy Butler, but the Lakers were without LeBron James.
Mhm.
Right. All you had to do was stop Malik Monk, and Eric Spoelstra has never found a way to make that happen.
Yeah,
So
the Miami Heat like created the monster that is Malik Monk.
Malik Monk is a completely average player against every other NBA team. He
Mhm.
plays the Miami Heat, and I swear to you, I think he has. Did you ever watch what was that Bow Wow movie?
Yeah, like Mike.
He like Mike,
Mhm.
okay? I
Yeah,
think
when
he has those
I knew you were
shoes,
gonna say that. Yeah.
but to not waste them, he only
Mhm.
uses them against the Heat. And then when he plays the Heat, he goes nuts. What was he, 10 for 13 in that game? 4 of 7 from 3. The dude had 27 points. Like, no, you're not that good, guy. You're cheating.
He
Somehow
is
you're
against
cheating.
us.
Gosh, it's so frustrating. I agree with you, though. I think they should have won. I will say this: the Heat should have won every game on this road trip except for the Nuggets game. I think that's the
Okay.
way I'd put it.
Yeah, yeah, I'll give that to you. I agree.
We just we never do well against the Nuggets, right?
Yeah.
You could tell it was an off night from the start. And then you had Ethan doing a whole watch party thing. It was just bad karma on bad karma on
Mhm.
bad karma. Like,
He should have known better, honestly.
but he did it on purpose, right? That way he could be like, oh, we always lose to the Nuggets. It's not my fault. I think the game became worse than the loss it already was because of Ethan in the watch party.
Yeah, that's pretty strategic, actually, on Ethan's part. Sneaky.
Oh, listen, he said it. I'm going to out him here. He said it in our group chats. Somebody was like, oh, how convenient you're doing it when they're playing the Nuggets in Denver. And he's like, yep, that was on purpose.
Ethan, I totally read all the messages in all the group chats. I knew that. They're not all muted, and I don't just check them once like a day. It's fine.
Once a day might be too much for you.
Well, people got to have access to me where they can.
Oh, wow. That's right. It's such a opportunity and a blessing to everyone.
It is. It is. Bless you all, really.
Yeah. Everybody watching this pod, you are now blessed by Allana. That's what she thinks.
It's what I bring to you on a Monday.
I just think it was a rough stretch, but it's like they're in every game. right? Like, it's not like, you know how sometimes they just come out flat and you can just tell from the start it's not going to happen. That's kind of how it was against the Nuggets. That's how it was against the Celtics. That's how it looked against the Pacers earlier in the season, right? These nights are going to happen. It's fine. But the games against the Clippers and the Lakers, they were in them. They were competitive. They had leads, right? Like, they were there and it just all fell apart. And I get it. You're without Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler is the best closer we have. But against those two teams, you should be able to put up better fights and you should be able to win them. So to lose to the Lakers by 3 in overtime, and then to lose to the Clippers, I think it was
We don't
back-to-back
play
nights,
well
right?
in overtime. It
But
was
that's
back-to-back nights.
but that's weird because we used to.
Yeah, but I think the last season or two at least, we haven't.
Last season we haven't, but the season before, the first season that Jimmy was here, I think we started off the season where I think we had like 8 overtime games, some ridiculous number like that, and we won all of those overtime games. One of them was the one against the Hawks. Remember, Trae Young said it was over. We go into overtime and we scored all of the points. They could do it before, and I get it. Jimmy was a big part of it, but like against the Lakers too, like you let Malik Monk beat you, and I get it. They have more of a team than that.
It's not an excuse to me. Like, it's an explanation, I understand, but it's just not an excuse to me when a guy or two are out, because at the end of the day, like, what's going to happen down the line when we start resting guys for the playoffs, or God forbid if someone gets injured or has to enter COVID protocol. And we're not the only, team that misses players. It happens to be Jimmy, who brings something, I think, very unique and kind of like, especially with the intangibles. But we can't be doing that. And even our wins, they didn't feel like commanding wins.
No.
That doesn't bother me as much, just because, at the end of the day, to me, a win is a win, but it's scary when we're sitting there.
But
and we're like,
and I'll fight you on this. If you're sitting there feeling after win, like, okay, that was a bit scarier than I felt like it should have been. That is, in my opinion, what most of the rest of us feel when we don't feel like a win is just a win. Right. And I get it. Yes, a win. I'll take it. I'll be happy, especially with the
I think the difference is, to me, it's just like the second that buzzer sounds, I'm like, okay, we're good. And I don't think about it anymore. Whereas for the loss, I kind of like go back and think about, okay, like what could we have done differently? A win, I don't really go back and think like, okay, but we almost lost. Like, to me, that's just not the way that my brain works.
Sure. But I guess then we can't go back and look at losses by like 3 points and be like, oh, well, if we had just made a couple free throws or hit like one more shot.
And I personally don't do that. I think that for me, it's just a matter of like what seems to be the repetitive issue that keeps happening. And I talked about this a little bit on Culture Shock, but I just feel like at a certain point, we have to look outside of the players themselves. And I do, and I'm sorry, and I keep harping on this, but I do think part of it is Spo and his rotations and his his tunnel vision and not wanting to adjust. I don't think that's all that it is. I think there's a lot of factors that went in there. Certain guys have bad games, guys are sitting out or whatever. But we need to figure it out because it's early in the season. It doesn't matter as much now, but what happens down the stretch?
Yeah, Spoelstra is one of those coaches that, and I think you and I feel the same way about this. You said this on Culture Shock. We've said it here before. I don't want any other coach from the NBA, from college, from any other situation. The only coach that I would swap Eric Spoelstra for is prime Pat Riley. If I could get prime Pat Riley back, 100%. I mean, that's
like, that just makes me so
take him every day of the week, right? Yeah. Like Showtime Pat, for sure. But obviously that's not happening. So I'm not trying to get rid of Eric Spoelstra at all. But I agree with you. The lineup sometimes is just so confusing. And he does this thing where he puts in Caleb Martin and he has Caleb Martin in the fourth quarter of a game and the Heat wins. So you're like, okay, it worked out. It's fine. Spoelstra knows what he's doing. But then flip it and make it a different scenario, like something against the Lakers where Duncan was out there on the floor on a night where he's not shooting so well. And then he misses a 3-pointer in a crucial moment. And so you're kind of looking, okay, what are these rotations? Let's switch it up. Like everybody tries to be, that backseat coach kind of thing. And so he's always been that way where he sticks to his stuff no matter what anyone else says. And I give him credit for it because more often than not, it works. It's just when it doesn't work and when it's so inconsistent and it's like one guy plays a lot for 3 games in a row and then he doesn't play for like 5. And then he comes back for 2 and he doesn't play again for another 3.
I have always said this of him. So you're right that it's nothing new. I think the reason that it gets under my skin a little bit more now is that now it's like we're working against other things on top of him doing that. So like one year, maybe our roster isn't as strong and then he gets tunnel vision. So that makes it worse. Or, we were dealing with COVID protocols, but he was still doing it. So now I'm pinpointing that. And now if one guy's out, like, I just think that when there's too many things happening at once, that's the thing I'm going to keep coming back to, because that is the one thing we can change.
Yeah.
We can't change guys being out. We can't change COVID protocols. We can't really even change if there's weaker rosters one year to the next, but it's like, and I get where he's coming from. If something was working before in his mind, he's like, it worked before, it'll click again. They just need to work through it. But there's times when it's like, there's no time for that. We are down by too much and there's no time left. But I mean, it's not like anything's going to change. This is how he coaches. And to your point, I don't want anyone else. It's just, it has to be said.
And honestly, to his credit as well, at least for this season, I personally feel like he is going much deeper into the bench than he has in previous years, even without the injuries. Like obviously with the injuries, it's forced it, but even before then, right? He's playing a lot of guys. I don't think he would have played too much before. He would have probably kept it to his just 8 guys on the floor and just done those 8 over and over again. I think that's gone really well because it's going to help in the injury front and them not being as often. Now, unfortunately, we've been bitten by that injury bug a bit too many times to start the season.
Miami Heat things. Like
it is. And it's unfortunate because it's Jimmy. Bam is now dealing with, what was it, a left knee issue that he's been having come up back and forth. Like you can't lose those 2 guys in the crucial moments. So if they're ever going to sit out, especially on a Western road trip early in the season, it's going to be tough. Like fine, lose them a couple games, but they need to be there March, April. Like they got to be in those games. So I think they need to figure out a way to make sure that these rotations and everything work out in their favor, whether that's maybe giving a couple more minutes to Yurt instead of Dedmon, like maybe splitting up Dedmon and Yurt. That way Bam doesn't have to play as many, or making sure that anyone else shows up on offense on a night where it's just Jimmy scoring 31 and the next highest is like 12. They need to figure something out on this team to kind of help even it out. And one guy that personally, and I will bring this up, one that personally has me a bit worried every once in a while now is Kyle Lowry. And I understand Kyle Lowry is a great player. I think he was a fantastic addition to this team. But that performance he had, I think, what was it, the Nuggets game? I get it. I think that was his first game back from injury, right? Because he had missed the one before.
I can't even keep track anymore.
It was because it was the ankle thing with Duncan, or like Duncan kind of fell over on him. Maybe that was before that. And I'm just, missing it. But Kyle going 0 for 8 from the field, 0 for 6 from 3-point. He only had 4 assists with 3 rebounds. Like we can't have those kinds of performances from Kyle. You don't want to see them from anybody, but
it's a game though. Like no guy is gonna be.
I get it, but
every
he has
night.
been offensively. He has been very up and down for his own shooting. The assists are usually there. He knows how to run the team. The defense is there consistently. But like on nights like that, like you can't do that, especially when everyone else is failing, right? Because he is in that top 3 guys that I look at to make sure something's working. And
I think for me,
points, but
I don't look at him that way. Like I don't look at him as one of our top 3 scorers. And I don't think that I looked at him that way when he came in either. For me,
I don't look at him as a top 3 scorer, but I look at him as a top 3 piece to our offense.
No, I agree.
And I would
think
argue
that
even
one,
top 2.
I think that one game, like, yeah, he definitely fell short. But to me, I don't know. Personally, I'm just not worried. I think it was just one game and that's it. I think he can.
Yeah, I just think he's had a couple of really off nights shooting the ball. Like the shooting touch, I don't think has completely come back.
No, I don't think so. But I also don't need it to personally. Like if he can hold his own in other ways, I'm fine with it slowly coming back. I also think that again, we've just forgotten how early it is and the fact that these guys have not played that much with one another. And also with injuries and with guys sitting out and with exposed rotations, to me, it's like he's the newbie. It's still Kyle Lowry. And I understand that he's been in this league for a long time. I just think to me, I'm going to give it more time before I say I'm concerned about his shooting.
Yeah, I think for me, what it is, and for what a lot of people it is that they started so well. Like you started off the season immediately in conversations of, is this the best team in the NBA?
Yeah, but guys,
and I understand that it's an overreaction. I get it, but that's
why I don't overreact.
But that's what we're supposed to do if we're analyzing. If we're 10 games into a season,
you're supposed to do. I think you're supposed to say
if you're 10 games into a season, right? And somebody asks you who currently looks like the best team in the NBA, you have to answer earnestly. And at the time, it was the Heat. The Heat looked like the best team in the NBA.
But you actually thought that was going to keep up because I didn't.
I didn't think that the Heat were going to look like the, super far ahead best team in the NBA. Like nobody else could even stay close to them. But I thought they'd look better than they have.
I don't know. It's just to me like this season, this game is a game of up and downs. Like that's just what it is. And I think it's too early. I don't think the road trip went well, but I'm also not ready to be like, we're in trouble. And now the rest of the season is going to be, like
I'm not sounding alarms that the season is going to go south or anything like that. But I think there are things to be concerned about. We know one of the other ones, but there was one piece of the road trip I wanted you and I to get into because we didn't get a chance to do that. And that is the start of this road trip was very weird. In a game against the Nuggets that we never do well against the Nuggets.
That's one way to put
I
it.
do want to talk about Serbian Kevin James and his absolute stupidity. Just there are more colorful words I can use, but a lot of other people have used them. Jokic, he sucks. I don't like him, but I'll let you go first. What were your thoughts on that whole Jokic situation?
I mean, that's as dirty a play as it gets. I don't care about any foul that Keith committed beforehand. Once the player's back is turned to you, that it's game over. You don't hit someone from the back. I think the fact that he has whiplash should honestly, and I'm not like even trying to be funny, like that's what you get from a car accident. Mm-hmm. Do you know how hard he had to be hit from the back? And Keith is not some weakling.
Well, I think Nikola Jokic is what, like 450 pounds?
And not only that, but the like angle in which he hit his neck because of the height
it was like
differential.
Right below, like,
it's
right on his
like
upper back. It was very
4 games out with whiplash already. Like this isn't a joke. He could have had some extensive damage. And to me, it's bad enough that it happened. I don't understand how people can defend it. I don't get it.
Everything got worse of it. Look, let's be completely honest about the situation. Did Markieff foul him hard? For sure. I'm not going to say that Markieff did not foul him hard. Hard fouls happen. Yep. And let's be completely frank. Jokic had just done that.
Yep.
5 seconds prior to Bam. But because nobody called the foul, and because Bam takes it like a man, unlike Jokic, who flops like, and I'm going to say, like most European NBA players do. I'm sorry. I understand you're Euro, and I'm not trying to be offensive or anything.
I don't play basketball.
But when European players came into the NBA with like the Dirk and all that kind of stuff, like I feel like flopping just really skyrocketed. And then everybody started doing it. So it's not just everybody does it. Like I love Chris Bosh. My guy, you flopped plenty of times. The boozer play, whoa. But look, he flopped it. He made a whole big show about it. He didn't go anywhere because he's twice the size of Markieff. It was not that hard of a foul that to then say, oh, well, he deserved to get hit back because of the foul. First of all, that's a stupid statement. Secondly, to say that, well, Jokic was upset, these things happen. There's one thing in being upset and running up to a player and confronting them, going face to face and then shoving. Look, if he was upset about it and he wanted to shove, that's up to you, man. You do you. You pushed your entire shoulder and your entire weight, that's maybe 7 Sbarros, okay, into his back. You gave him whiplash. He was down on the ground. And then when he is down on the ground, the horrible fans from Denver, and I'm sorry, they are horrible, unhappy, miserable fans.
Overlook the fact that Jokic's teammates dapped him up.
Oh yeah, they dapped him up. They were laughing about it on the sideline. And then the horrible, unhappy, miserable, sad, depressing, tiny organ having people of Denver. Okay, I've been to Denver before. I didn't have an issue with it. Now I do.
I almost died there, so I have no love.
You don't chant MVP when they're bringing out a stretcher for a player on the ground.
And what I love too is that Jokic has yet to like say anything besides.
I think he said he regretted it.
Yeah, no, he said some comment like, yeah, afterwards I was told what happened and like, I feel bad. You were told what happened? Did you have an out-of-body experience while it was happening?
Yeah, like you were sitting there on the bench looking straight forward.
Yeah, like, so that seemed fraudulent AF to me. I never liked him, to be honest. I never understood the appeal. I didn't think he deserved MVP, and now I'm just like, deuces. Like, I can't. I'm disgusted.
Super unfortunate timing too, because I think our previous episode we had talked about MVP conversation and Jimmy, and I was talking about.
And I said Jokic was boring and didn't deserve it.
Time out.
You backed him.
Timeout.
You backed him.
First of all, what I said was his game was flashier than Jimmy's, which
It's not though.
I think that's a whole different conversation.
But
Aside from the
you're
fact that he's a
wrong
horrible
still.
human being. He is a horrible human being, and now I don't
agree,
like him.
but he's still not
he was
a
a
flashy
lot of
player.
people's favorite big man. A lot of them. Like
That's
the creativity
fine. People
he played
are
with was
wrong
something people
across
like.
the globe every day.
I'm not going to say that they're wrong in appreciating
I
the way that
am.
he played basketball,
I
but
am.
supporting him as a person, I think is awful. And then his allegedly, I think it's allegedly, maybe it's fully true, his woman beating brothers then going and making a Twitter account to say that they wanted to start up some stuff like, we watched the tape and now we're going to fight you. No, you're not. You're going to stand on the edge of the court. You're going to wait for security to hold you back.
Don't worry, though. They bought tickets to the game because your MVP brother can't get you tickets for free.
The moment anyone even shoves them, I promise you, they're going to hit the ground. They're going to be like, oh, my head, my neck. I'm going to sue you, because that's what they are. Okay, don't. And a bunch of people are like, oh, Miami Heat don't know real stuff like people growing up in Serbia. So first of all, I don't know what life is like in Serbia. But don't act like these guys aren't about that action. If Jimmy Butler wants to beat your ass, he's going to beat your ass. Let's line up Jimmy Butler, PJ Tucker, and Udonis Haslem, and you tell me that the Tubby Bros still want some of that action. Sit your ass down. Go back to Serbia, play basketball over there where you can get every foul call and you can push whoever you want and nobody's going to care because they probably don't have laws and nothing matters. Get out of here. Look, if you're Serbian and you listen to this, I apologize, but Jokic messed me up. I can't do it.
I can't say anything about Euros, but I will agree.
You can say something about them specifically, though.
Yeah, I mean, they're a joke, whatever. There's nothing to say. Why are we even,
It fired me up and I never had a chance to say anything about it.
No, that's fair. I just think in general, it's just like the fact that people were breathing life into them. It's just like, for what? Just ignore them.
And then what killed me too was the people that analyze and are verified and have like tons of Twitter followers, and they were like, well, that makes sense because of Keith's foul was so hard. Like, you don't.
Oh, I got people tweeting at me being like, how could you not see what Keith did? I saw what Keith did. It did not deserve that. Nothing deserves that. His back was turned.
You and I will say this outright. First of all, I think both of us are fine with players being about that action. They want to get into a fight. You stand up for yourself. You get into a fight.
100%.
But I will say this outright for myself personally. I think you would stand this too. You love PJ Tucker probably more than any other Heat fans. If PJ did a move like that, hit somebody from back, I wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't be happy with him. I wouldn't be cheering him on.
Nope.
No shot.
No.
I'd be like, bro, you need to sit down and you need to be suspended a couple games because that's not that. I'm fine with playing tough. I don't like playing dirty.
Suspension too. It's like Keith is literally out 4 games with whiplash, and you got a 1-game suspension.
Yeah,
Come on.
I saw a couple people being like, "Oh, Heat fans would have cheered that on." I'm like, no, we wouldn't have. Maybe some people would, and that's fine.
You know what though? We wouldn't have had to be in that situation because no Heat player would have ever done that. Thank you.
I genuinely believe that. I would like.
No, I do too. Hitting someone from the back is a completely different type of dirty.
I would have loved to have watched Jimmy Butler fight that assistant coach or whoever he was yelling at. I'm going to say this now. I think Udonis Haslem is going to end up in some celebrity boxing match at some point down the line.
He's too good for that.
No. But like, because a lot of people are doing that now, right? Because
no, I know. I don't like it. It's cheesy.
Oh, it is super cheesy. But like, what? Deron Williams is the one doing it now. He's fighting Frank Gore. Like, listen, I would pay all of the pay-per-view money to watch. What is it? Is it Jake Paul? Which one of the Pauls is it?
One of the Paul. Yeah,
I think it's Jake Paul. Jake Paul versus Udonis Haslem. Oh, I'd pay all the pay-per-view money. Oh, for sure.
There'd be nothing to pay for. UD would walk into that ring and it'd be done.
That would make me so happy though. Just to watch him get one right hook, Jake's done. Jake's done. I'm all for that. I'd set that up. Make some of that like promoter money. You have that in FTX Arena.
Give Michael a call if you
want. Bro, FTX Arena would sell out immediately. I'd love to see it. Udonis Haslem versus Jake Paul, title card, beat his ass. All for it. I don't know where we're going back to. If you want to,
you're really fired up. I'm half asleep, so I'm loving this.
Yeah, Jokic's doughy body really gets me fired up. It's like a Pillsbury Doughboy.
I'm getting nauseous.
Serbian Pillsbury Doughboy playing basketball. That is what he is.
That's accurate. I'll take it.
Let's talk about our culture player of the week, and this transitions into a lot of other stuff. And surprise to everybody, Alana and I talked about it beforehand this time, which
Mhm.
we never talk about anything beforehand. When I tell you we don't prepare, like Alana sends a rundown, but
That's it. It's the extent of
yeah,
our preparation.
that's why everything seems completely unprepared and just off the cuff, because it is. Um, culture player of the week, we both agree, but I will let you do it because this is your boy. It's your
It's my
guy.
boy, PJ. Okay. And you know what? Listen, half of me loves, okay, that the fact that a lot of people are now riding the PJ train, but let's not pretend like y'all were all aboard before this, past few days.
This is foreshadowing, by the way, for the Victor Oladipo conversation in a couple weeks and or months.
I wake up on Sunday morning and suddenly it's a PJ love fest all over my timeline and it warms my heart. But then again, I have to call people out on this. PJ has been PJ from the start. If you didn't see that, that's your problem. He's been all over the place. That dunk, his defense, the steals, like he's just it's too
He's
good.
been contributing. It's just not the flashiest contributions, and it doesn't really show up much on the box score.
No, but
right,
and that's what culture player
that's
of
what
the
he
week
does,
is about.
right? And that's what he does, and we love PJ Tucker for that. But I think especially in this past couple set of games where everybody was up and down, or people were injured and out, and nothing seemed to be going right. You knew exactly what you were getting from PJ every night. Mm-hmm. And PJ stepped up in ways that I think a lot of us weren't even sure he could.
You know what we haven't really discussed with him?
What?
His tat game is fire.
Oh, I don't care about tattoos.
Oh my God. The angels on the neck, the angel wings on the neck. I was thinking about this during the game. I was just like, why don't we talk about this? It's a good.
Are they big angel wings on his neck?
They're pretty big.
Okay. Probably Jokic is going to go for them next time we play the Nuggets. But like, here's the thing, right? So PJ stepped up in that Jazz game in ways that I don't think a lot of people knew he could do, right?
I knew.
No, not specifically.
Nope.
Okay, fine. Blind faith. Okay, fine. I'm saying this now. Then again, I call it foreshadowing. In a couple weeks and or months, when Depot comes in, he starts lighting it up.
That's fine.
Right.
That's your boy.
That's my guy.
I respect it.
Okay, all those people that yelled at me about, you wasted money on your jersey, can't be fans. You cannot be fans of Victor Oladipo. I think there's a very small group of people that are allowed to be fans of Victor Oladipo. And
I would agree with that.
And you are not allowed.
Oh, no, I'm not going to.
You are not allowed on our boat. And it's not a bus, it's a boat because this is Miami
fine.
And we're legit. Okay. So
I want well for him, but I am not going to pretend to
no
be.
Depot for you. Okay. I've been watching Seinfeld
okay.
again. No Depot for you.
Don't know that reference, but totally.
You've never seen Seinfeld?
I like watch here and there, but I don't like to laugh.
But you don't know the soup Nazi?
What?
The soup Nazi. No soup for you? Like it's a thing on Seinfeld.
Why can't he have soup? Who can't have soup?
No, he sells soup in a soup store.
Right.
And then if people don't order it the right way, he doesn't give them soup. It was a very funny episode. He's probably one of the most popular like side characters in a TV show of all time. You need to get some culture. Yeah. So PJ, culture player of the week, but you brought it up. You have it on our rundown. You are upset. PJ is your boy, and you want nobody else to have him. Mm-hmm. It's all you. So I ask you,
I'm a greedy bitch.
I'm going to choose not to respond so that the comments don't get really mad at me about this. Are you going to buy a Miami mashup jersey, specifically PJ Tucker's, or are you going to make your own?
So,
or are you not going to buy one at all because you decide you don't want to support the Heat in that way?
No. So what I want is actually a hoodie. And it's funny because I saw a few people tweeting last night that there were no hoodies online. But then today, during a promo on TV, what do they show? A mashup hoodie. So I don't know if they didn't drop last night when I looked at them, but I need to go back and look because I would like a hoodie. However, if it's not a hoodie, I think the move is a PJ t-shirt. My problem with jerseys is I don't really wear them. Mostly like it's not my thing, but also like it's freezing here most of the time. So I don't know if a jersey is the way to go. So a PJT might be
okay, but you want the hoodie, which hasn't dropped yet for you.
It didn't exist last night, but then they showed it in the store.
You know what it might be? They just may not sell that hoodie to anybody that lives in a place that goes by Central Standard Time. One more Heat player. One more Heat player to discuss before we get into some other random news that's going to be very upsetting if it goes through. Duncan. let us talk
Mhm.
about Duncan. We've talked about him before. I am a bigger Duncan fan than you are. I have gotten plenty of people mentioning things like, "Oh, how's your boy Duncan doing?" Right? Like that's just how it is. And then when he has a good game, everyone's just kind of backing
Silent
off, not
Night.
saying anything.
Mhm.
I put out a tweet a little bit ago, which I thought was quite comical. If you've ever seen How I Met Your Mother, fine. I admitted it. I'm worried about Duncan Robinson. And for myself personally, just like I wasn't worried about him after a small sample size of games, I am not, how to put this, this isn't going to work. I am not unworried about Duncan
You don't
Robinson
think he's back
after a
necessarily?
couple good games.
Mhm.
I'm going to play it fair, or at least what I think is fair. I'm still worried about him. I'd like to see him be more consistent. I'm happy to see him doing better the last couple games, but that doesn't, to me, fix the issue, which is he's shooting in the 30% range from 3-point, and he can't do that. If he did other things on this team, right? If he was a great defender, if
Mhm.
he was great at moving the ball around, I get it. I'd let that slide. We need you to be 40% plus. He's not there yet. He's gonna start climbing back, I think, but I am still worried about Duncan.
I I don't
I
I
just
don't
want to
think
say
I'm
there was a lot of silence for our audio listeners. Like they're gonna be like, "Wait, did it break?" And then and then they're gonna hear you. I thought that was funny.
I don't I'm torn on how I feel about him. I know how I feel about the fickle fan base, but for him in particular, it's hard for me to say I'm worried from the logical standpoint of like, it's not like his shot just disappeared. It's not like he woke up one morning and suddenly all his talent is gone. Like, that's just not how it works. I still think it's mental, and I think that you can work through mental
That's not
issues.
necessarily true because if the Monstars came in and stole his talent, technically, there could be someone shooting the lights out over in Toon World, beating Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck in a game of basketball right now that has Duncan Robinson's talent. I'm just saying, let's just put it out there. You can
I
continue.
should have known that you would come up with a retort for that.
I mean, I have to have my pop culture references. That's all I have. I've got that and humor that nobody really enjoys. So
I
what am I
enjoy
gonna
your
do?
humor. I just don't get it half the time.
Yeah, I mean, but that kind of still hurts anyways, because then it's just like a pity laugh. So
No, like I know it's funny if I got it, you know? Like I know I would enjoy what you're saying if I understood it.
go watch Seinfeld.
I don't like to laugh.
What were you finishing up on Duncan? Or did you just
No, I mean, it's not like his mechanics went away. He didn't, his shot's
right?
not broken. It's just a mental thing. I think he'll be fine. Can we stop with the, can we stop? It's
Yeah,
just
maybe let's not
exhausting.
comment on his podcast like it's the podcast's fault. Like we always do this thing where it's like they appeared in a commercial, they shot that commercial, and it ruined their basketball game. Like, what are we
And
doing?
here's the thing, there are some guys, players, people in general, not even honestly if you're an athlete or not, there are some people who take criticism or what have you, negativity like that, and they laugh at it or it fuels them, right? Like there's just different personalities. I think we have seen what he's like already in terms of high pressure because
Mhm.
look what happened around the trade deadline. So do we really think that someone like him is going to be
Right.
benefited from this? Like it's not one of those things that it's like, oh, this is going to make you stronger or tougher or better. I just, for him, he doesn't seem like that kind of guy, and that's okay. But then just stop. Can we just like, can we let him figure it out?
Yeah.
And if I hear one more time about like you should be benched or like I don't know, Tyler should like you don't know what you're talking about. Like I'm done. Like you literally
Yeah.
do not know what you're talking about.
It makes no sense to swap him for Tyler because I think Tyler is exactly where he needs to be right now on this team. Do I think Tyler should be a starter moving forward? Yes, because he's going to want big money. You don't pay big money to somebody that comes off the bench, but that's another season from now. That's a
Mm-hmm.
later date. Right now, Tyler is so needed off the bench. Now, if Depot comes in and Depot is the guy that I think he can be and he's lighting it up off the bench, then maybe we can have that conversation because
But
I'm
how
not
do we
worried
know
about it at
that
that point.
Tyler's going to thrive the same way in a starter
We
role? To
don't. No,
me,
we don't.
the other problem of that argument is like, okay, you're taking one thing that's already, I don't want to, it's not broken, but it's not working right now, right? And you're then swapping it with something that you don't know will work. What
Right.
if Tyler doesn't produce at the same volume as a starter? Like, can we have some patience? Just let's wait and see how he does.
Yeah. And if you guys can't tell, Allana is absolutely fed up with Heat Twitter on a whole. The fact that she's still part of it kind of baffles me.
Do I have a choice?
Can you just change your name to Allana I hate Heat Twitter Tachauer on Twitter? Like
Hate
maybe
is
that would
strong.
Allana, I have
I
negative
think I've
feelings
only
towards Heat
hated
Twitter.
one person in my entire life, actually. So
Makes sense, and some people deserve it. So let's go through the last thing going on with the Heat. And I don't know everything
Tampergate.
about this. Explain Tampergate, because I have a vague idea, but I feel like you know the details better than I do.
Well, supposedly they're still looking into the investigation regarding guys like Lonzo Ball and Kyle Lowry with the trade deadline. And I think today it came out there's a potential loss of like $10 million, draft picks, and now they're talking about suspending some league executives. I feel like we're doing the most. Like, I feel like this is unnecessary completely.
I mean, tampering has been around forever. I don't think it's an issue personally, because
It's not an issue. Enough time has gone by, and I don't feel like the punishment is fitting the quote unquote crime at this point. Like, we're gonna suspend executives.
Yeah, but these are all arguments being brought up by sad franchises like the 76ers, who say we didn't get Kyle Lowry because the Heat talked to him a day before.
This is like Mark Cuban calling in at this point.
Yeah, and Mark Cuban's another idiot. When it comes to basketball owner, I'm like, dude, you suck. Like your organization is trash. You got a lucky finals because LeBron James decided to completely forget how to play the game of basketball and think that
the Monstars.
No, that he just sucked. He's not on the team anymore, so I won't give him the benefit of the doubt. Like he sucked. Okay, you got Malik Monk. I don't like you anymore, LeBron. But I feel like this is too much. $10 million in draft picks for what? Maybe talking to Kyle Lowry a couple days before. But it's not like that actually gives us a competitive advantage. Everyone was talking to him. Like he just signed here, so we're getting
to me, they're reaching. This is all a reach. And tampering is never going to go away. So why don't we just like call it what it is and let it fly?
Yeah. And also to go after the Bulls too. Like, do the Bulls even have $10 million in executives? Like that is surprising.
Not answering that.
You're not answering that?
Nah.
But you're a Bulls fan.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm not answering that.
So you admit it, you're a Bulls fan before the Heat?
Of course I'm. Okay, first of all, the reason I got into NBA basketball was the Bulls. Second of all, I live in Chicago.
Oh, because of the second greatest player of all time?
Anyway, around the league, which lands us perfectly on my boy DeMar DeRozan and how fire he's playing. He's averaging like 26, almost 6 and 4. He's looking good. And I want to say this. People who thought that he was a poor fit, what was wrong with you? Honestly, what was wrong with you? And really, like, on what base did you have that claim?
Poor fit where? In Chicago?
Yeah, I mean, people were like, "Oh, this is a crazy signing. How is he going to fit? How is he going to fit? He's going to thrive, people. That's what he's going to do." But my question for you,
me specifically, or to them?
No, to you specifically.
Here I go.
Would you, now seeing how he can produce, not to say that he have the same role in Miami, I understand it's not the same conversation, but would you have taken DeMar?
No.
Really?
Number one, I think he would have been too expensive and we wouldn't be able to afford him anyways. I think getting DeMar DeRozan would have lost us out on guys like PJ and Markieff. Secondly, I think the amount of shots he's taking and everything are good for him, and that's aiding a lot of it. But I think it would have stumped some of what we've seen from Tyler Hero.
Okay, that's fair.
And I think that what we've seen from Tyler Hero is very important to him solidifying his place in the future, because the future of this team, as much as I'd love to say it's Jimmy and Kyle are a little older. So the future of this team is Bam and Tyler. And I think DeMar, having been here, would have kind of stumped that a little bit. And I think it would have made us feel like, oh, well, Tyler's expendable. We've got DeMar doing it. We can just trade Tyler to get someone else. Like, I think he's doing really well. I'm very happy for him. I think he could have done well here in Miami, but the price tag, the development of some of our young guys, I think it's best exactly where it is for all parties. And also his whole, I was disrespected by the money. my guy, you're having a
That
great
that I
season.
didn't, yeah, that I
Nobody thought
didn't
this was
like.
gonna happen.
But he's looking good, and I am just really happy for him. To me, like he's just that guy that puts his head down, does his work, and gets it done. And I super respect that. So I wanted to shout him out a little bit because I think he's doing great. And I think that people were very, very wrong about him. The other thing
Everybody
I
has
wanted to
takes, so it happens.
bad takes. The other thing I was going to talk about, the Ben Simmons saga. How do I put this? I feel like we're teetering on like inappropriate and uncomfortable at this point, to me at least. Like, I don't know how you feel, but the whole issue of it being a mental health thing, if it is really a mental health thing, maybe we should stop talking about it. And if it's not, then shame on him. So either way, I don't know. There's something about this that, like, I personally just rather not hear anything until some definitive thing happens.
Yeah, I think I don't care just because it's the Sixers. And I'm happy that their organization is dysfunctional and then nothing seems to be working right. And eventually they're just gonna
Yeah, but
tailspin
see, it's
right
not
down the
even about,
pipe.
I don't connect him to
No,
the team even. It's just like this feels wrong.
the Ben Simmons stuff just he needs to go somewhere else. He's needed to go somewhere else for a while. Nobody's willing to pay the high price tag. The
Yeah,
76ers don't want to trade him for nothing. The mental
but
health
if
stuff
it
that's
is
coming
what
up,
is that's my thing. If it really
we
is
will
what it
never know.
is,
Barring
right,
him
which is
coming out
why
and
I
saying
feel
it.
like, and that's why I kind of feel like we are now, like, I wish we could just go back in time, rewind, and just never hear anything about it. Because now that that's out there, it's kind of like, all right, well, are the Sixers not taking it seriously? Is he just making it up? Like, it's very, I don't know. It feels gross to me. On top of that, now he was fine today because he didn't travel with them on the road trip. And it's just like, okay,
Well,
so let's just
but
imagine
that's
for a second if he is struggling with, I don't know. The whole thing just makes me
no,
uncomfortable.
I get it, but so that's where there would have to be some sort of exemption list or something to put him on if that's the case, right? There has to be a way to get him kind of in a hidden away place if that's what it is, so that then he doesn't get fined. But if he's
Mm.
not on that, then I understand why they're finding him, because that's a lot of
But
money
the
that they
thing is,
have sunk in a
yeah,
player
and we
that's
just
not
don't
doing
know.
anything. And like I said, we'll never know
Yeah.
unless he comes out and says, the only way we'll ever find out anything is if he comes out and says, I'm lying.
Yeah.
Because even if he miswords something, like, we don't know. That's the thing with mental health. It's by individual.
Mm-hmm.
One person can really struggle with something, and another person is just something they can shrug off. Like, is mental health part of it with him? Most likely. Is it also convenient, the timing? Sure. So it's both sides of it look kind of bad. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things where
I
it's
don't
like,
know. I hate the whole thing, and I just want them to part ways so this stops.
I think it's best for both parties. I just think, look, Ben Simmons never really made too much sense on that team to me personally in the first place. I think he needs to go somewhere else. I don't know where he goes. That's a perfect fit. I think there's a lot of places that could kind of maximize him, but building a team around Ben Simmons as the main guy to win, I don't think is ever going to work out. So I think everything just has to find the right spot. And right now it's all in a bad place and nobody wants him. And on top of, look, this is going to sound bad, but the mental health stuff isn't helping him either, because it's going to make other teams kind of feel like,
Well,
maybe
it's
we
not
don't want it
helping him
either.
because he's not saying anything about it. Like, when Kevin
And he
Love and
doesn't
even
have
DeMar
to.
came out, sure, but then that's the price you pay. Like, it's just, that's what I'm saying. To me, it's either you say nothing or you talk about it.
Mhm.
This in between where it's like, oh, are the Sixers not caring about mental health? Is Ben Simmons, like, I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. Every update that we get about it, I'm just like, I don't want, like, I'm done here.
It's a
I
very
just
sticky
want them to part
situation.
ways.
And for myself, I guess the only thing I can think of is I'm definitely glad it's not my team. And
That's fair
I can
enough.
say this honestly, fairly confidently. I feel like if the Heat had a player, a prominent player that was saying something like, hey, I'm battling with some mental health stuff, I really need to step away from the court a little bit, I would have a hard time seeing the Heat being like, no, we need you out there.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen them allow players to step away for a lot of different things. We've seen how important family is to them. When Jimmy first got here and he missed the first couple games because I think he was having a child and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. So it's one of those things. I'm happy I'm a fan of the Miami Heat because I'm confident that they would handle something like this well. I'm also not super blaming the Sixers because there's two sides to
Yeah,
every
I just
coin.
don't know. Yeah.
It's sticky. It's weird. As long as they're lower than us in the standings, that's all I care about. So
Fair enough.
last thing we have to discuss is the current situation in the Western Conference, specifically the team that certain incredibly smart individuals might have predicted to be the Western Conference representative in the NBA Finals, that being the Golden State Warriors, who are now 11-2, leading the Western Conference. Clay's not even back yet.
Pain, just pain. They played the Bulls the other night, and I literally, it was like maybe a few minutes in, and I was like, I think my time is better served in other ways. And I didn't even bother really paying attention. It was just on, and I was like, well, we're like, there's just no chance of coming back.
Is this the team to beat out West? Because in my opinion, like I said, I
think
predicted it
so.
early in the season. I just think it makes too much sense. Steph is still an amazing player. Draymond to me personally, and I get it, you love PJ Tucker. Draymond to me is like a better PJ Tucker.
Oh, Draymond's
Where,
soft.
like,
he's a puss. I don't. Sorry.
Okay, well, I think Draymond's a better basketball player than PJ Tucker.
Sure, but I'm like,
and they still don't have Klay Thompson back.
yeah, that's
So,
wild.
like, this team
Also,
is gonna
Iggy,
crazy good.
Iggy found a fountain of youth or something and just went back in time, because Iggy's balling suddenly too, which I am happy about.
He's always loved that system. That's where he's
Yeah.
always wanted to be. And they were just like, listen, we're not going to pay you if we have all these guys injured, and we're just going to tank anyways. And then they tanked, and now they're doing well again. So I think that's the team to beat out West.
I would agree.
Even if everyone else was healthy, right? Even if
I
the
agree.
Lakers were completely healthy,
I agree.
Clippers
Yeah.
were completely healthy, I think that is the team to beat out there. And I will say it, my prediction was Heat Warriors in the NBA Finals this year. And if that happens,
we're cooked.
Well, I did predict the Heat to lose against the Warriors in the finals, but if that does happen, you can expect me to bring up that prediction every single day for the next 6 months. Because
see, I think the thing with me is that I'm so over everyone else's predictions that like I've started tolerating yours.
Then good for me.
Yeah.
I mean, but you got to give me that. That's a pretty good, like a lot of people.
No, yeah, you were right. I'm just saying.
Like,
oh, I mean, I think the Lakers will figure it out, but the Warriors, I'm not gonna deny. Yeah, they're definitely the team to beat.
And I think
I don't think the Lakers are gonna be as bad as they are right now. I don't think that's
no, but I think their players won't all hit at the time that they need them to. Like, I think that's a weird cast. You know what? I would even say this. I don't think Russell Westbrook makes it to the end of the season with the Lakers.
That's interesting.
I think he's off that team by then. I think they're just going to feel like it's not working, and they're going to try to figure something else out. So
that's going to be interesting for sure.
Smartest guy in the room over here. Warriors, baby. Look, Stephen Curry's been my favorite.
The guy alone in his room.
That makes me the smartest person in the room, right?
There you go.
I win.
On that note.
Okay, yeah, there was a long pause again.
I'm tired, okay? Good night, y'all.